All right, everyone, we are live. WWE Night of Champions has just wrapped up, and this is the Wrestling with Regret post-show reaction show. I'm Brian Zane, joined as always by the Rules voice, J Biggs. And tonight we're just going to quickly go through our immediate gut reactions of what happened to find out, just to try and make some sense of it all, Biggs.
I'm going to try.
Yeah. Now, just a quick caveat, Biggs, you were late to the Night of Champions party. We had a bit of a dinner party tonight, so it was quite a raucous crowd this evening. You were a bit late to the Night of Champions party, so I watched a few of the matches solo. So I'll be the, we'll talk about, but I'll get your 2 cents on whatever the topic du jour is.
Sounds good.
So yeah, let's just start right. For once, I finally saw the pre-show event. This was the 6-man tag, Stardust and the Ascension versus Neville and the Lucha Dragons. I think it's good for both tag teams that they were involved. I think the sign of a healthy tag division is when most of the teams are doing something, even if it's not championship related.
Very true. Very true.
If you go back to the time, like with the Attitude Era, you had so many different tag teams. Not all of them were fighting for the title, but they were usually doing something. I'm not saying this is it. I'm not saying this is that. But we are, it's almost kind of like that. So yes, good for the Lucha Dragons and good for the Ascension, who a few months ago were totally written off. No one cared about them.
I love the combination of the, what's the Cosmic Ascension now?
Yeah, the Cosmic Wasteland.
Yeah, Cosmic Wasteland.
I do like that too. I kind of hope they keep going with it. I hope they build on that. And I hope that they. Cody
just recently tweeted that they're getting some new gear made too. So, we could see a, like a New Day looking outfit or something. Like, not that exact outfit. No, obviously something that matches.
No. One thing I thought was funny, it turns out this was not an actual Michael Cole quote. He was quoting Stardust when he said that the Ascension were like 2 dangerous cosmic dark horses, which to me sounds like kind of a trash bag wrestler tag team name.
Cosmic dark horses?
The dangerous cosmic dark horses. You got to add the adjective.
That is a trash bag name.
But I thought it was kind of a funny little throwaway line. I thought watching that match, I felt like I was watching 2 different matches. I felt like I was watching a tag match between the Dragons and the Ascension. Then the hot tag came, and that was Neville and Stardust. And then there was some intermingling within that one. But then it was back to, the singles match. And I think that was just an issue of, you have so little time to get a story across in the pre-show. But again, I think if they continue down this road with Stardust and the Ascension, make them an actual unit, make them worth something, worth building, then it might be, they might improve from there.
Yeah, that's true.
See here, but I did like, again, I like the concept. I hope they keep it up. Moving on, let's talk about the opener. It's for the Intercontinental title. It was Ryback versus Kevin Owens. Hearing some very opinionated comments in the chat section about Ryback. So, and by the way, the chat is open. If you want to ask me a question or something, if you want to put your 2 cents in about this show, feel free to enter the chat section. But a lot of negativity toward Ryback. I'm not necessarily one to agree with a lot of the stuff. I mean, I think, like I've said in the past few months, Ryback, I think, has improved dramatically as a performer during this IC title run. He's been weighed down by a lot of stupid stuff with the Big Show and the Miz, but I mean, he has shown to me that he can work a match and that he's not just one-dimensional.
I'm just, I'm hoping at least that what this does is maybe moves him into maybe not the main event yet, but maybe some contendership or something. Him and Sheamus maybe or something. Like something that keeps him up there because. I hate to see ever since what was it, Hell in a Cells or was it no? I'm not.
When he won the title?
Yeah, that was Elimination Chamber. There we go. So ever since then, I think he's been doing great, and I like him as Intercontinental Champion. But it's been a kind of a lackluster reign, and it's like because you said it's the Miz and the Big Show.
Yeah, that took the bulk of his reign was dealing with the Big Show and the Miz.
But Owens needed something. You couldn't. I don't know. I just feel like he was probably, if he hadn't won this and a couple more, maybe he would have been sent right back down to NXT or something.
Right. I think this was kind of a do or die situation for Owens because he did go over on Cesaro the previous month.
Yeah.
And, he did have that first win against John Cena. So we know he can work and perform. It was just, a matter of like, well, what's going to happen after the Cena feud? How will they bring him up?
Well, it was like Rusev. If you had to put him over on Cena first, where the hell would he have gone?
Right. Where do you go from there? Yeah, but it was, and I think for all the flack Ryback gets as far as a worker, I think he looked good against Owens. That was the big test for Owens. Could he make Ryback look good in the match? And I think he did. You know, they played to his strengths. You know, he sold a lot the arm. You know, but Owens was very aggressive, so attacking the arm. And so when it came time for Ryback to perform, I think he did okay. He did fine. He was not like a Botchamania worthy thing for me. So I thought it was a fine match. Again, speaking as the only one between the two of us, the only one who actually saw it. But I think it was a good match. Owens looked good. Ryback looked good. Good for Kevin Owens to win the title. I hope it doesn't drag him down like it's dragged down so many other people in the last year, 2 years.
Drew Galloway.
Yeah, exactly. So again, good match. Good on Owens for winning the title. Let's move on to Ziggler Rusev, aka. Don't care about this match at all. Don't care. Well, I mean, going into
the storyline screws it all up.
Yes, I think the match itself. You didn't see it, but the match itself I thought was really good.
I got about half of it.
Oh, you came in halfway through. It was a good match. Bogged down only by the story it was trying to tell. I think it was a very competitive match. For a match like this, I guess if this is the feud ender, which I don't think it is, but I mean, just for this B show pay-per-view, I think it was very, very competitive. It was very good back and forth, a lot of false finishes.
The match itself, yeah, exactly. And I just think the storyline's it waters everything down and just kind of makes it like, I don't give a crap. I think the biggest story out of this whole feud tonight was Ziggler's covering up them thighs now.
I know, he's covering up the gams.
Yeah, what's up with that?
The new gear was interesting, especially, and what's really super weird about this, and like we were talking about, the storyline is bad, it's especially watered down now because Lana is not only injured, but she's off television, which I think is the last thing you want to do in this really weird love triangle, love square, love quadrant thing they're doing. And so it was even more awkward, the fact that Ziggler had the new gear with Lana's face on his crotch.
This is my thing with this. Okay, if Lana's got a hand injury and that's legitimately keeping her, I mean, I'm sorry, you couldn't put her in a cast. I mean, the worst that she's disqualified from is to be crewed as a hand job in the whole situation. I mean, literally, that's the only thing that I can't see her being able to do in the whole deal there. So she needs to get back and be part of it, and then they can blow her off if they want. But I truly feel that the best thing after all this is, man, I mean, Lana's lost so much steam. Let's bring her back and put her with Rusev.
And we've talked about this before, how Lana's character has been kind of ruined over the past half a year since about Fastlane on. And, you know, someone asked me, do you think Ziggler gets too much flack? I think he does. I mean, I think we've said before, he's an excellent worker. No one can take that away from him. This storyline is just bad for him. It is not good. He's not a good actor. You know, he's a good wrestler. He's a good worker. He's been that way since he was 16 years old. But he's not the best actor in the world, especially in an angle like this. It doesn't suit him. It doesn't play to his strengths.
Isn't it weird in a wrestling society now where we say to ourselves, man, the storylines suck, or they going into them, you know, and some matches don't even have storylines going into them. And then the one that does get a good storyline, a lot of push on the storyline absolutely does freaking suck. It is a horrible storyline. I just wish they would be.
Yeah, and hopefully with Lana gone for a while, I hope they do jettison the storyline. It is wasted on these two guys. Or these two guys are wasted on it, I should say.
Maybe Ziggler Owens now.
Right. Well, who knows? It's the best match these two have had from an in-ring standpoint. Moving on to the New Day. I think it was our friend Nico who said that they were Savage Slim Jim throwback color scheme this time. And, you know, again, they're the hottest act in WWE right now. They're funny. They're just so out there and braggadocious.
I'm telling you, he's the pixie. He's the Dave Chappelle pixie.
Yeah, he was saying that Xavier Woods was the Dave Chappelle pixie. For those of you who have not seen that sketch.
Come on, you know you want the frat ticket. Come on.
But New Day's not racist. Let's just get that out
not
right now. The New Day's not a racist gimmick.
They even debuted in St. Louis.
Oh, well, there you go. But, you know, I think the match itself, take it or leave it. I mean, it was cool that Dudleys were on pay-per-view for the first time in WWE for the last decade or so. Great moment. I didn't think they were going to win. I thought they might have because it's the shine of the returning Dudleys, the conquering heroes. At the same time, though, they don't need it. But I didn't think they were. I mean, I didn't want them to win the titles, but I didn't necessarily want them to job either. So I think the DQ finish is a good way to meet them halfway on that. I don't know if they're going to have a rematch tomorrow night. And they'll probably blow that off then. I don't know what the Dudleys are going to even do beyond this point. I mean, I'm sure they'll be in the tag division for a while and do stuff, but I'm curious now that they are full-time, as the reports have said, I'm curious what they're going to do. Because, you know, the problem with having the Dudley Boys back, it's like, as good as the tag teams are for the most part, you know, in WWE right now, they still kind of pale in comparison in terms of legacy to the Dudley Boys. So having them there is like having Michael Jordan back, you know, in a really down year in the NBA, you know, as far as like the, you know, the action, the star quality, the star power in the NBA on a bad year.
The question's like, though, do you just come back for nostalgia reasons, or do you have them actually come back and be those little guys who keep the titles away from the young dudes, you know, like when you should really be putting over new teams that need to go forward? Or do you use them, you know, as talent enhancement, you know? And it seems like for this anyways, I'm very glad they didn't just come into the tag team scene and squash New Day.
Yep, and
that would have screwed it all up.
Mm-hmm. People are marking out for the Final Fantasy fanfare that Xavier Woods did on trombone. I marked out for the scales personally. I thought that was the funniest part.
I like the Rocky.
Yeah, the Rocky thing. You know, but I mean, I think, again, Xavier Woods especially, I mean, I would not be surprised if he becomes kind of the breakout star of the group, because he is just this out there character. Not out there in terms of weird, but he's just so outlandish in his braggadociousness and other words we can make up.
First wrestler with a PhD, too.
That's right. So, I mean, again, hopefully good things will happen. I don't know what the New Day is going to do beyond this one. Maybe they will carry on this feud for another month, because the fact that they did put Xavier through the table at the end of the match. Xavier did the Devon seizure cell in front of Devon, which is great. Which is a great moment.
I think that what they're going to do is they're going to, I mean, not that you, I mean, yeah, you compare two teams to fight for the tag team titles, but I think right now that there's such a collage of teams in the WWE, everybody's kind of working together anyways. You know, I think the Lucha Dragons are putting guys over. Obviously, the Ascension's probably going to come back in the mix a little bit now because they have the Stardust, you know, like Harper and
Braun Strowman
might do something, you know, or I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go right now, but I just certainly hope that it's not the Dudley Boys coming back and being like Hogan and TNA, you know.
And they'll bring in all their friends.
You know? I will say this though, and because there's been a lot of online flack for Ray Dudley from guys like Rene Dupree and a couple others that have been saying that he is hard to work with. Whatever, who cares? I will say this though, working the TNA tours I did with Bubba in person, Bubba is probably the most intimidating dude I've ever met in my entire life. He just has this intimidation aura around him.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it. He seems like a legit psychopath at times.
Who knows, man?
Let's move on to the Divas Championship. Actually, before we move on to the Divas Championship match, I want to stop for his little sidebar because I was getting a lot of questions on social media asking me what my thoughts were about Nikki Bella beating AJ Lee's streak for the number of days she had the Divas Championship. Let me say this. I understand why people are upset about that happening, about her breaking the record, because I understand what to many people that represents. Because, strictly put, I have to say it, the only reason people are mad that Nikki Bella broke the streak is because she is dating John Cena. And if you don't believe me, let me break down a few of the common complaints that I've seen online about why people are mad that Nikki Bella had the belt for so long. First of all, well, she barely defended the title. You know, well, okay, that's a good point, very valid point. But guess what? AJ Lee, when she had the championship for as long as she did, she barely defended it either. There was lots of stretches where she just didn't defend the belt. So that argument kind of goes out the way. Why did I say weed? I don't know. I was reading something. These guys
Pete break. For Krypton.
Yeah, I know. Hey, this guy's on a fist break. Another thing people bring up is, well, you know, she cheated to win all the time. Like, why are people complaining about this? Nikki Bella was a heel. Heels cheat to win. That's how it's always been. It's how it's always going to be, you know? And the fact that we're arguing about this as a logic standpoint as to why she shouldn't have the belt for so long kind of blows my mind.
Plus, I don't give a shit because this is what they did. Right at the beginning of that match, they played the legacy of all the champions of women and all that kind of stuff.
That was kind of frustrating.
Okay, if you're going to show a picture of Mae Young and then put over Nikki Bella, or yeah, that's right, Moolah as the, you know, as that champion from the very first beginning of WWE, you know, for like what 26 years or something.
Moolah was the first Divas champion. That really, and then there was you know, Stratus and Lita. Like, ugh, that was just annoying.
The Bella reign means nothing. Nothing.
Right. That's the thing I take away is that the whole Divas championship kind of means nothing. But we'll get to that. But no, another thing people complained about is that Nikki Bella didn't earn the championship. Well, first of all, pro wrestling, and specifically WWE, is not now, nor has it ever been, a meritocracy. It doesn't really matter if you earn it. People do deserve championships, and they sometimes get them. But for the most part, it's who the penciled booker thinks should have the championship, and that's a completely arbitrary thing for the most part. So, and by the way, the Bellas have been in the company for longer than people think. You know, it's like the fact that they waited this long to put the belt on Nikki Bella, to me, shows an alarming amount of restraint on the part of the company. So I think that people having all these arguments. Oh, another thing about cheating to win, AJ did that too. So that's another thing. You know, people have all these arguments for why they think Nikki Bella's not a deserving champion. But AJ did the same things they're complaining about. I think all it really boils down to is that AJ Lee, as good a wrestler as she is always going to be overshadowed by the fact that she is married to CM Punk. And if you don't believe me when I say that, what was the thing people were chanting every single week when AJ Lee was out there wrestling? Who was not with the company anymore, who was only getting the chance because he was married to AJ Lee, CM Punk. As far as most fans are concerned, AJ Lee, for all the talent she has as a women's wrestler, she is a vessel. She is a surrogate for fans' insatiable love and their huge boner for CM Punk. That's
we're all living vicariously through the Divas division.
Exactly.
What we hope the WWE Championship picture would be.
And so what it turns into with Nikki Bella and AJ Lee and their respective streaks, it's the and that's what drove me crazy. It's this, you know, it's a bit hypocritical and it's a bit double standardy why people would attack Nikki Bella. The only reason she got so much heat is because she is with John Cena. AJ Lee, if she were with John Cena, would get the same heat. If Charlotte, who won tonight, by the way, was dating John Cena and beat Nikki Bella, people would be pissed that she won.
But she's dating Bram, or she was married to Bram.
She was married to Bram. That's my rant. That's my rant about the whole Nikki Bella thing. If you want my opinion, because people did ask about it. But, you know, again, let's talk about the match itself. I thought it was very serviceable. It was a nice old school match. Nikki Bella working the body part over and over again.
For somebody like me who doesn't get a chance to watch NXT, I pretty much just read results. And it angers me. Believe it or not, I'll say it. I don't have the $9.99 network. I live off this guy's life here. But I think the match was solid for a Divas match.
It was good.
You know, I'm not seeing NXT matches like Bayley and Sasha and coming back and watching Raw. I almost feel like that would make Raw and pay-per-views boring to me. You know, in a weird way, the way I'm getting the reviews about these women's matches on NXT. So when I see a match that's as solid as this one was, it's entertaining to me somewhat. So I can only imagine that things are going to get better for the women's division. I certainly hope it.
Yeah, exactly. Now that all the influx of NXT women are coming in, it'll get better. But, I mean, it was a really good match. It was a very good story. It was a satisfying ending. Would it have been more impactful if Charlotte won on Monday? Yes, absolutely. But that's not what they were going for. And so now AJ Lee is whisked away in the wind with CM Punk as far as her record goes. So so they had their cake and they ate it too. So they had the feel good ending.
Maybe she could be a ring girl for UFC now.
Yeah. Let's move on to the 6-man. The Wyatts. It was Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Bray Wyatt after drinking all the ooze, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and of all people, Chris Jericho. I think he was the last person a lot of people predicted to be the third man. I heard people say Orton. That was kind of an obvious choice. I heard Baron Corbin getting kicked around as well. Our friend Nico suggested Daniel Bryan. I heard some other kind of rumblings about that too. So yeah, that was Jericho kind of surprised me. I think that because they made a good point in commentary. There is the tie-in because Jericho and Wyatt did have a good feud last year, so it made sense. It wasn't totally out of the blue.
Yeah.
I think the match was good. That it played to everyone's strengths. The fact that Strowman is a big hoss and he's not the best worker in the world. He didn't have to put on a clinic because he did exactly what he had to do.
Yeah.
And everyone got their spots in.
I think it was cool to have Jericho and all, but I don't know. I thought he had like a TV phobia lately. He only wanted to do house shows or something.
Well, the money was there.
I guess so.
I'm sure the money was there. One guy, oh, that's right. The Rock was also a rumored person too. I heard The Rock was rumored as well.
Why?
Because
why didn't they just bring Jey Uso back for the one?
Exactly. But yeah, he's not doing anything. Jimmy's hurt.
Yeah.
So again, it was a fine match. Take it for what it is. It's 6 guys who are kind of like waiting for the next thing to happen, especially with guys like Reigns and Ambrose and Bray Wyatt.
This definitely wasn't that first Shield and Wyatt family meeting that we had, at No Way Out a few years ago or whatever.
Right.
It's definitely not that, but it was a decent match.
Why was Carlito trending? People were talking about it. I guess Carlito was a guest too. That's news to me.
On what? On Jericho's podcast?
No, I get. Well, I was. I don't know. All I know is apparently maybe Carlito was rumored as the 3rd man. I don't know. That would have been.
Is he off pain pills?
That would have been pretty unbelievable.
Oh no.
I'm not surprised Jericho took the fall, but I thought the setup was kind of weird. It made him look kind of dumb for the blind tag. Not showing his veteran skills, I will say. But the heel turn at the end, the little thing we're getting.
Where do we go? Where do we go from here?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of dates Jericho's going to work at this point.
I'm thinking they might. If they maybe at Hell in a Cell have a match. Maybe it's Ambrose and him something. I could see maybe Reigns going off and doing his own thing or something possibly. I mean, I would like to see. I don't see any reason to keep those two together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them being like. They're almost too big to be in a tag team scene, in my opinion. You wouldn't want to waste those two talents right now, anyways, on a tag team reign. Right. I don't know. It doesn't seem like to me.
I think a tag team reign for Reigns and Ambrose wouldn't be bad. I mean, it'd make things interesting because it play up on their whole shieldedness that they have.
Maybe.
Yeah. Moving on to the first half of the double main event we had. U.S. Championship match. John Cena fighting for the title against the current champion, Seth Rollins. I think you can look at these two guys. You can have them work every night for 365 nights and not have a bad match among them. I think that this match to me, it's an example of why these two are where they are in the card now. They are the two top guys. One guy says draws improvement. Not cool, man. Not cool. I heard that, Curtis.
Oh,
that's low. And I'm the one with the canyon joke last month, so that's pretty low.
That is low. At least 3.5 feet low.
I think it was a fine match. The guys they tore the house down. They had a lot of cool spots. The Cena Kanrana, I popped for that. I don't know what else can you say about it. I mean, I think one thing I thought was interesting, one takeaway was when Cena won, it was an overwhelmingly positive response. And I think, I was going to say this, I think over the show you can tell Houston is a really good crowd for WWE because they do all the things that WWE wants them to do in terms of reactions. And my hijacking video has got a lot of responses, it's got a lot of debates. But people are talking about, we can cheer for what we want to cheer. Well, the Houston people are cheering for what they want to cheer, and it's music to WWE's ears. But they cheered
happy tonight.
They cheered pretty much overwhelmingly for Cena and for Reigns. I'd have to say. But I think Rollins had a lot of cool stuff. He was probably killing himself out there tonight between this and the next match. I think this, again, puts so much faith into the guy for doing what he did.
Surprising to see 2 clean finishes as well.
That was another thing, yeah. Cena won clean. And who knows what the U.S. Championship is. He going to bring back the U.S. Open Championship? That'd be pretty cool, I guess. I don't know, because he's shown when he's that champion, he can put on match, the continuation of that.
I had heard it was a very small rumor of maybe a Samoa Joe and Cena feud.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm actually interested in that.
It could happen. at the point Joe's at the point in his career now and his age where he's not getting younger.
No.
So I think I'm to the main roster at this point.
I can tell you right now, when I was at ROH WrestleMania weekend, he came back from his match with Jay Briscoe and his knees were killing him. So the guy, you know what I mean? So the guy's obviously, like you said, he's not getting younger. If they're going to pull the trigger on him doing something as a big star, I think it needs to happen in the next few years.
Right.
So I think that might be a good feud for him to bring him out on the main roster.
Let's move on to the WWE title match, the main event. Seth Rollins defending against Sting. One thing I want to say about the title reign that Rollins has had is I've seen a lot of people online saying how bad of a reign Rollins has had. Oh, he's just being pushed as this, shitty champ. What a shitty championship reign for Seth Rollins. Why do people think that?
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's anything wrong with a cowardly heel champion in the company. He's winning all the time. I think that's a good sign of a good push. Again, the fact that he has been the champion for as long as he's been putting on these wrestling clinics, the fact that tonight he wrestled for, 45 minutes straight pretty much against 2 different guys, shows the incredible amount of faith that the guy has, that the company has in the guy. So I think it's silly for people to think just because he's not dominating people and he's not a stone cold badass like Triple H was in his heel turn, which by the way a lot of people hated too. People didn't like that either, but they don't like a cowardly heel being the champion for so long. Yeah. So I think it's weird that people want to make that criticism. Now the match itself, Sting Rollins, I liked it. I think Sting was very serviceable in the match. He didn't show his age to me. I think that Rollins worked well around him. I think it was a fine match, and
yeah, I liked it too.
I was out of the room for a minute, so I missed when they did a timeout in the match for Sting getting hurt. I don't know if that was a work or not, so I can't speak to that.
Dude, I was there, and I don't even remember it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it added to the drama, though. Yeah, the turnbuckle powerbomb that Sting took was pretty stiff to me.
He took two of them, actually.
Two of them, okay.
And then that third one, or the second one, I don't know if you noticed this because no one in the group said anything when it was going on, but he took that second one, and it was almost like he was going to do like a Hulk up or something, like he was going to, to Rollins when he took it, but then decided, I'm going to sell or something, and kind of leaned, slumped sideways, and Rollins didn't get what was going on, so then he just started punching Sting.
Oh, that might have been it. That might have been a shoot. I don't know. I might have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
By the way, who's saying this? I just saw a comment real quick. They don't give Rollins a reaction until he goes for cheap heat, says Daniel Jacobs. Cheap heat is heat. I'm sorry. Like, it's still wrestling. I don't care if we're in 2015 and the old school days are done. Cheap heat's still heat. Cheap heat still works. So there, I'm going to justify that. I'm going to defend Rollins on that one.
That's right. Sting has lost all of his matches.
Yeah,
I just put thought to that.
Well, no, because he won the tag match last week again with Cena.
Oh, okay. Well,
so he's not totally winless. A little witless for coming to WWE and being presented the way he is, but there you go.
His hair stayed dark, though.
Yes, his hair stayed dark. It stayed mostly in place, so they really tamped it down.
He didn't end up looking like Big Earn from the Kingpin.
Yeah, or just Irma Kraken. So, yeah, good match. Good clean finish by Rollins to put over Sting. So that was a really cool match. And it's funny, during the conversation, we're like, okay, the fact they built up Sheamus coming in for so long at this point on TV, it makes it really obvious it's going to happen. They wouldn't build it that much and not have anything with it. So Sheamus comes out, and it's funny because we're also talking. I'm like, well, what's Rollins' next guy going to be? Next month. And I instinctively said Kane. They'll probably bring him back now. And, sure enough, they brought him back. Now, people were saying that Sheamus blew his Money in the Bank shot and he lost it. No, he didn't. The bell never rang. The thing never happened. So he still has the Money in the Bank because Kane intervened early. So the Kane coming back, I don't know. What do you... I'm on the fence about it because I've said in the past how Kane is one of my all-time favorites, and I stand by that. But I've also said that Kane, in the last couple of years, he's gotten much slower in the ring. I don't think he's worthy of a main event spot, kind of like what he was with last year with Daniel Bryan.
He's got to build back up to it, and when I say that, I mean he's got to be extremely evil. Mm-hmm. I mean evil. And, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he has the mask. I think what the problem is with people is that he's perceived like Big Show with turns now, like, oh, what is Kane this month? Or, who's he with this month? I think, and I told you this earlier tonight, I think Kane still has a few years in him that maybe The Undertaker doesn't or something, and he is like that big gimmick, that character, that evil thing that you could maybe make some sort of a, like that big monster at WrestleMania every year after Undertaker's gone. Yeah. He still has a few years. So maybe build him back up. I loved it when I want to say he had a feud with Mysterio.
That was a good feud.
Yeah, that was a great feud.
But that was like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, I know. If he would bring back that intensity. So many times, Brian, we've seen big guys and said, just have that intensity, damn it. Just have the intensity.
Yes.
That's all you need, man. And I think Kane, if he has that and he comes back just as this giant asshole who does evil things, you could really do some cool stuff with. He could have that Ministry of Darkness that people still think the Undertaker is going to be or something. Like
people still want it back. I'm seeing a lot of funny comments. My take on it is Kane is to masks as Big Show is to heel and face turns. He has it on, he has it off, he has it on, he has it off. I mean, okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to to have like a quick mini program. It's a bluff because it's been a legit build. Certainly, I'm not taking away from that, but they've had the build between Rollins and Kane for months, so it makes sense for them to have this. But again, like, why in 2015 are we still presenting Kane as this guy? Especially because you hit the nail on the head. He could be a big star again, but it doesn't help they've made him jobber deluxe for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They've put him in this position where it's like, oh my God, it's Kane. He's so evil and dangerous. Oh, loses immediately. It's like they can't keep doing that and expect us to care when he finally starts doing something.
You know what's weird is this whole thing that he was doing. Like, what was he running for? Governor or something like that, of Tennessee or something.
I think he was running for like city treasurer, county clerk. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
You think the guy would have at least waited till after the elections to put the mask back on?
Yeah,
You can't get many votes like that. But right. But I mean, I think still there's potential in Kane. I also believe that we could see Sheamus and Kane feud coming up.
Yeah.
Because of this whole thing. But I think it's cool with going into Halloween, Kane getting a title shot at the Hell in a Cell.
It's very trendy.
Yes, it is. It's very,
If there's one thing nobody knows how to do, it's be topical.
See, they should totally bring back Tim Arson as the ECW zombie.
Well, dude, he's dead. You know that, right?
What? See, I'm not.
The ECW
okay, that was as bad as the Droz joke earlier, apparently. Yeah, but hey, I mean, that's like bringing back, like when God wrestled with Vince McMahon. It's like we can bring back spiritual wrestlers. They're just there as a light.
We can have a real zombie intervene in this match. Okay, well, we could talk about that all day long.
Yeah.
What's your final grade on Night of Champions?
Out of 10 stars?
Let's do 10.
7.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about fair. I would probably have to give it a 7 or an 8 myself. I mean, there was nothing really terrible about this show. There's something that made me want to turn the TV off. I thought, all the matches were serviceable. Everyone looked good for the most part. Again, Sting looked good for his age. When you consider the kind of the pace that like the Triple H match at WrestleMania was compared to this one, I think it's almost night and day. Sting looked a lot better. Ryback looked good against Owens. Owens carried him to a good match. Tag titles. The tag title match was a little boring. The 6-man, the pre-show, take it or leave it.
Is Sting off TV for a while now, you think?
Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with Sting anymore. Like, because he comes and goes with the wind, because he's the Crow Man.
It's got to be him and Bray or something. He's going to be so jaded over all these losses that Bray's going to be able to lead him into the light again.
Yeah, and I see some other people posting their scores. Post your score. We usually do letter grades, but for tonight, let's shake it up and do numbers, 1 through 10. Give me your 1 through 10 scores on Night of Champions. A lot of people, for some reason, I must have looked away from the chat. I looked away from the chat room in a week. The Yeti is trending on this chat room.
The
Yeti. So yeah, there you go. I think between a 7 and an 8 for us. A lot of people are putting 6s. Some people are going. One guy said 9 out of 10 because Rollins is still the champ. Let's talk about this. This was announced tonight. Blew my mind. Hell in a Cell next month is going to be Undertaker Brock Lesnar in a Hell in a Cell match. That's pretty dope. What do you think about that?
I'm interested to see it because I think that there's enough excitement over with that last finish. And the match was decent last time. I actually thought the last match may have been better than the very first Undertaker and Brock match.
Yes, it was. Of this era. Let's not forget, they had
yes, exactly.
Brock's first run.
Yeah, and in 03 they had some good matches too with the biker. Mm-hmm. But no, I think that this was, it was cool, and I think that we're gonna get a good pay-per-view. I mean, for some reason they're really signing the hell out of Brock Lesnar lately. He's gonna wrestle Big Show at MSG, and who, by the way, did another friggin' heel turn.
I know, right? Thank God he didn't work tonight. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I know. I'm very sick of that. And I did have just while I got everybody on here and on chat, I didn't want to throw this out here. I had a great idea, I thought, this last weekend. Put The Miz and Zack Ryder together. You're not really doing too much with either guy. But, man, what a PR dream team for the WWE, because The Miz is always out there doing the public appearances in Hollywood, doing the movies and TV shows. He's a PR guy. And Zack Ryder, he's the internet champion. He's the internet guy. So he could be like the ambassador of social media, and maybe Miz comes out with the old TV title.
That'd be kind of a cool kind of a TV internet combo thing.
I don't know, just for fun. I just thought it'd be cool because you're not really doing anything with either guy that impresses me. No. It's too bad Zack's not at that point now where he's wrestling decently on singles matches, getting over crazy. But they killed that too.
Yeah, well. you know, you can. But one thing about WWE, they are consistent with their inconsistency.
Yes, that is very
so that. We're just gonna wrap this up here. I want to thank everyone for sticking around past the pay-per-view to watch this live post-show review. I want to thank everyone for taking part in the chats. I really appreciate it. If you haven't seen Vince Russo Will Change Your Life, I highly recommend you do so because it's got a very cool.
For real, bro.
Yeah, for real, bro. It's gonna change your life, bro. And it's got a cool cameo at the end that if you haven't seen it yet, it might surprise you. Then again, it might not. But it's still a cool cameo. I will say that. So check that out. Also this week, there's gonna be a new Kayfabe Kitchen. So check out for that on Tuesday. It'll be a brand new Kayfabe Kitchen. I think you guys are gonna like what happens there. And you know, a few more episodes, a few more short form videos are gonna be coming in the next couple of weeks, coming down the pike. And of course, ramping up. November is when the full-length reviews come back. I know a lot of people have been requesting that. Some of you have been tweeting me, asking me, when am I going to make new videos? I've been making videos for the last, 10 weeks on a consistent basis.
They're coming out, twice a week. He's posting my timeline. I know they're here.
I know. So I'm staying productive here. I'm not totally on hiatus.
Stop being an ostrich. Get your head out of the sand.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I strongly advise you guys to check that stuff out. I think you guys, thanks for all the suggestions. We get lots of suggestions on email and social media, so thank you for that. Be sure to check out the Facebook page. If you haven't liked the Wrestling with Regret Facebook page, check that out because I'd say about the next week or so, there's going to be something going on. It's Facebook exclusive. I think you guys are going to really like. It's very fan participation based, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks to everyone. For J Biggs, I'm Brian Zane, and we will see you next time.
Where's the Bisco?